You lost your father, I lost my father, but like, I feel you, but I can't feel you. You know what I mean? It's like, so there is that.
My dad was the kind of man that you didn't deal with feelings or emotions. You toughed it out. I went to a therapist. She asked me, well, what brings you here? It's been almost a year since my dad died, and I don't sleep well. I can't really eat. She went, oh, honey, that's grief.
So she defined it for you.
Mm-hmm. My dad was my superhero. Superheroes don't die. I was like, he's not, my dad can't die. That can't be.
What's up, y'all? My name's David Ferrugio, host of Dead Talks Podcast, where we normalize the conversation about death. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing. Hit that like button if you do watch this video. Small gestures like that really get the show out there. Short and sweet. Let's get into the episode. Janice, I appreciate you sitting across from me right now.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, really.
I was just saying before I knew we were recording, you said something along the lines in one of your clips about how you felt like it wasn't okay to grieve or something like that. Do you mind tapping into that again?
So even before my dad died, my dad was the kind of man that you didn't deal with feelings or emotions. You toughed it out. Like one of his favorite things to say is, don't nothing bother me, I bother it. So growing up in that environment, because I come from a family that doesn't really deal with anything, the feelings are obviously there, but nobody deals with it. So I was the lone sensitive kid that's looking at everybody like, so we're just not going to talk? Nobody feels this? So when he died, because he was such a large presence, everybody felt it, but it was like nobody wanted to deal with it. And I remember specifically, there was a moment at his memorial service where it was like a 5-hour service anyway. That it was just ridiculously long.
5 hours.
5 hours.
Okay,
it was, and I had raised concerns about that. I was like, listen, I don't want this to be the never-ending service. I don't want to keep having people show, your dad's dead now, right? And I had to keep sitting through it. But I remember this one moment where I just broke down, and one of his friends, she came up behind me and wrapped me up real tight and said real sternly in my ear, stop crying. Your dad wouldn't even want you crying like that. And it hit me then. I'm like, well, damn, he's dead. So I couldn't cry if I got hurt, physically. I couldn't cry for this. He's now dead. This is the most painful thing I've ever experienced. And I can't even cry now? Like, what is this? And then even after his service, it was like, I'm sure you understand, so many people have been through it. There's the initial impact of someone's death. Everybody rallies around, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, they're bringing you food. You have the build up to the service. Then you have the repast or whatever you want to call it. And then once it's over, everybody scatters.
Yeah.
And everybody expects you to just go back to life as usual. And I'm looking at it, again, like I said to my family, I'm looking at everybody so we're just going to ignore the elephant in the room? My dad is dead. I'm done. You want me to just act like everything's normal? And that seemed to bother everybody around me because everyone was just, no, we don't talk about these things. And I'm the lone person. You could see it on my face. I was a shell of myself. And it was one of those things that because it made everyone else uncomfortable, it was like, oh, let's get her. She's not doing well. No, let's get her out of here. Even my mom would go around telling people, I'm doing okay. Not like Janice. Janice isn't handling this well at all, but I'm doing much better than that. How am I supposed to handle? Do you really want me walking around? Sure, he's dead, but I'm great.
Right, you're not supposed to feel anything.
Yeah. So it was really rough. I dealt with that, and I'm an only child, so I don't have anyone. There was no one I could turn to. When Dad was, it was just me. Yeah,
that's an interesting thing too. When I learned that you were an only child, 'cause it's always another dynamic of the conversation is the relationships with your siblings, and obviously you have plenty of family outside of that, as you expressed. But yeah, it's I almost said lonely child, but as a lonely only child, it can probably feel isolating because you have no one that could relate to you in the immediate factor.
No one. And for me, it used to irritate me because he died at the height of his fame. So I remember when he died, his sitcom had just gone into syndication because he died August 9th. So it was like that summer. Madagascar 2 was coming out. That was his first animated film. And then Soul Band with him and Samuel L. Jackson was coming out. So at home in Chicago, he's the king of Chicago. So no matter where you went, it was just reminders everywhere. Like, you drive down the expressway, billboards everywhere. You're on the street, here comes a bus pulling up with. And it just felt like life was just mocking me, like, in case you forgot.
Here's a billboard of your father.
He's dead, remember? Yeah. Even the night of his service, I remember, like, all of my friends, like, after the repast, and I just had it, they were like, okay, let's get you out and just go get your mind off of things. So we go downtown and we go into this club, and I remember, like, it was just instantaneous. The DJ, yeah, everybody, today was the service of Chicago's own Bernie Mac. Let's have a moment of silence for it. And as soon as he said it, I was like, so everybody was like, oh my, okay, let's get her out of here. Let's get her out of here. So then we go bowling. They're like, let's go bowling. And the bowling alley, it's downtown Chicago, so it has all these screens up. We walk in. What are they playing? The news, which is showing his funeral service. I was like,
damn. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. And so, I would go, and that was the first time in my life that I was on the forefront. I was used to being in the background, nobody knowing me, because that's how my dad wanted it. He didn't want us to be seen. He always said, I want you all to have your own life. And for the first time ever, people were, hey, what are your thoughts here? Like, and I remember I would go out places and people would be like, oh my God, you're Bernie Mac's daughter, aren't you? Oh, I'm so sorry. And you're not the only one that lost him. We lost him too. And my fist would ball up like, you did not know. Yeah. And I don't ever want to make light of that for his fans, because I've been on that side. I remember hearing Robin Williams died. I cried when Prince died. Like, I know that feeling, but I could never imagine going to their family member and trying to equate my feelings as a fan with their loss. And I know I'm going to say people meant well, but it was just, all of that just made me feel even more isolated.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not comparing in any sense, but I'm finding like some different relations, like when my father's passing on September 11th, which you may or may not have known, is the idea of that public light. That's why I'm fascinated in what your experience was with that, because I've always said it's a very individual experience, but when something's in the public light, in your situation, I have no understanding in that capacity. But having your father be such a famous figure, it is more in your face. There are all those reminders, especially in the immediate aftermath. And if you're saying you're having contradicting feelings of feeling isolated due to, people telling you don't grieve in some ways, and then having it right in your face at the same time, it's a contradicting paradox of an individual, personal, lonely experience, but then something so public.
Yes.
So how complicated was that? Like, was that, and especially that's in the immediate aftermath, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do?
I don't, look, when I look back on it now, I have to ask myself, how did you do it? Because this is all going on like at the same time. So I was in the middle of a divorce. My daughter wasn't even 2 yet, and my dad died. So it's all of this happening at once that I'm trying to navigate. And I put an insane amount of pressure on myself to like keep his legacy going. I'm like, well, as he used to always tell me, I'm the only one he got. He ain't got no backup kids. It's just me. Backup kids. That's what he used to tell me. He'd go, you're the only one I got. I ain't got no backup kids.
Backup kids. That's hilarious. You do a hell of an impression of your father, by the way.
Hearing that voice all the time. Yeah.
Sure.
So it was, for me at that time, my way of coping was, well, I've got to keep his legacy going. I've got to, and I've got to take it on all by myself because it's just me. So he had started his nonprofit foundation, the Bernie Mac Foundation. So my mom was the president at that point, and then I became vice president. So I was like, okay, got to take this all on my shoulders and, do this. I hate working in nonprofit. I used to work in nonprofit before I started working for him. Burned myself out with that, and I'm trying to, people are asking for interviews, people want to be seen, and I'm like, well, it's all on me. I've got to keep him going. And it worked for a little bit in that it was like I I don't want to say excuse. It wasn't an excuse, but it gave me like an outlet to kind of hide and detach from my feelings, because now I don't have to focus so much on my grief, because I've made my objective to soldier on for his name and his legacy.
And that hiding that you mentioned, is that a natural response for you, or is that intertwined with the way everyone's putting it on you and how you're supposed to handle it?
I think it was more because of everyone else. Because it's, nobody wants to see me sad like this anyway. So it's better for me if I channel this and I soldier on for this and I, strap up and go. It didn't work very well because, like I said, he died in August. So by like June or July of 2009, I was knee deep in depression. Because in between that time, I remember I used to sit in my parents' basement. And my dad was a proud card-carrying member of the NRA and had an arsenal of guns. And I used to think, well, you know what? I could just take one of his guns and blow my brains out. And then I wouldn't have to deal with this anymore. And I'd be done. And I used to sit, like, I wouldn't go directly to the safe, but I'd sit by the chair, like by the door, like, and just sit down there for like hours. Like, okay, if I sit here, maybe I'll get the strength to go in there and do it. And the only reason I didn't is because I was like, man, that would be so mean to do to my mom. She just lost her she just lost her husband. Not only would I be dead, she'd have to clean up after me because I'd do it. I can't do that, so I won't do that. Then it got to the point where I was like, okay, after I drop my daughter off at daycare, I'll just get on the interstate and I'll wait till there's a semi-truck on the other side, and then I'll just drive in front of the semi-truck and let the semi-truck take me out. That'll work. Okay. The only reason I didn't do that is because I was like, man, then I'd cause a pile up. Like, yeah, and other people, nobody should have to suffer because I'm suffering. So no, I won't do that. So then I just got to the point where I was like, all right, God, if you're real and you love me the way church has always told me you do, when I go to sleep at night, I won't wake up in the morning. And then that'll be that. And every morning I woke up, I was like, damn, you really don't love me, huh? I'm still, like, it was a simple request. I just asked, like, just take me out. Like, let me go in my sleep. I'll be fine. And I felt that way for months. And I think like around June or July of 2009, I was like, okay, this isn't healthy. My daughter, like, I got a kid to raise. I don't think this is good. So that's when I went to a therapist. And I remember she asked me, well, what brings you here? And I said, well, my dad died. It's been almost a year since my dad died, and I don't sleep well. I can't really eat. I was just naming all the things that I was feeling. And I'll never forget, she was like the first person that I felt gave me permission to be okay with grieving. She went, oh, honey, that's grief.
So she defined it for you.
Mm-hmm. And I remember as soon as she said that, I was like, how come nobody ever told? That's what this is. Like, this is normal. This is what people feel and do. And she went, yeah, and it's okay. And as soon as she said that, I lost it. I was like, because no one had ever told me that it was okay.
I just got the chills. Mm-hmm. And it's wild how just a simple acknowledgement, because you were essentially, I don't want to say brainwashed, but kind of plugged in to be like, no, this how you're naturally feeling, how you know deep in your core you want to feel, and someone shuts that down and it's manifesting to all these negative feelings and this depression.
Yep.
And it was just a little nod saying it's okay.
Yep. And as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, wow. I wish someone had told me that sooner. Okay. And it's crazy because, like you said, I instinctively knew it was fine when it first happened. But as the time kept going, and because of the way everyone else was reacting to me, I internalized it and was like, oh, something's wrong with me. Oh,
right.
Something's wrong. And yeah, with that, once she did that, that gave me permission to feel like, oh, okay, I can grieve then. Okay.
And so when those floodgates open, like, how do you, I mean, it's a loaded question, but what happens from there? Do you feel it was literally just allowing yourself to feel whatever the heck you felt?
Yes. Yes and no. Like, in that moment, it felt good, but then it was still, like you said, all of this conditioning. So once I leave the office, it's like two halves of me fighting with each other. The half that's like, no, but the therapist said it was okay. Like, we can grieve. And the other half of me is like, yeah, but you did that. See, you cried. She gave you a tissue. No, wipe it all up, suck it up. Okay, now chop, chop, let's keep going. So it was this push and pull between myself that went on for months. And like I said, it's all these other things that are happening now. Like I said, my divorce gets finalized. I'm a single mom. Even my relationship with my mom changed. So now there's the grief of that, because it's like, I don't know this. I don't know this now. I'm used to that. Like, he's already, it was just the three of us. Mm-hmm. One of us is already missing. And now this one has pulled away and something's different and changed. And I don't understand what this is. This is too much change. I can't. So I'm just gripping and trying to hold on to any and everybody that I can for dear life, because I'm like, this is too much change. Can we not do this? Can we keep things as close to what I know as possible so I can feel safe? And life was like, no.
What is that? What was it that changed? I know you mentioned earlier on how your mom had said something like, oh, I'm doing fine, but Janice is this, that, and the other. So was it just a natural, or how your mother just handled her own grief, or was there some kind of resentment or wall between how now you were processing it?
I'm not sure. To this day, I still don't really have an answer.
It's still fuzzy?
For that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, the closest that I've come to it, her mother, my maternal grandmother, died, I want to say like maybe 9 years. Has it been 9 years? Maybe 9 years ago. And I remember after my grandmother died, she said to me, oh, this is how you felt when it happened to you. But I have 3 sisters. You don't. It was just you. And it was like, okay, well, you acknowledge that, but that was about the closest thing that I got to it. So I can say from my point of view, yes, I think there was some resentment there. I don't know if she'll ever, admit that or say that, but yeah.
It's so, I mean, that was a step in the right direction, I suppose, but I don't know, I feel like so many people, and this isn't even defining anyone in your family, it was just more like we all have our lenses, and most of the time, a lot of people, it's important to have these conversations, you see other lenses, but everyone only sees it from their eyes, and they think everyone has the same experience. And with something like grief, it's literally never the same. Like, I posted something recently, I think literally yesterday or today, and it was kind of like, there's a camaraderie in understanding your grief. Like, I can say, like, I understand, but I don't understand. You know what I mean?
I thought when you said it, your dad died in 9/11, I'm like, I remember where I was when 9/11 happened. But I can't imagine what that's like to have that.
Right, and vice versa. Yeah. It's like you lost your father, I lost my father, but like, I feel you, but I can't feel you. You know what I mean? It's like so there is that, individual. But it is important to kind of like just, there's so many layers to the way it can go. Like, you didn't have any siblings. Your family's telling you that, and for her to try to get a glimpse of what you felt, and then relating it to, I had my siblings. You get a glimpse into someone's grief, and all we could do is kind of take everything with a grain of salt and apply it or not apply it. But it's so complicated. It's
very complicated. Like, I remember even when he initially died, when I first felt the distance between my mom and I remember going to her like, is it too difficult to be around me? I'm like, I look like him. As much as it pains me to say this, I act like him sometimes a lot, like, so is it, is it like, oh gosh, I don't even want to, and she would say no, but I still was like, well, then what is it then? And I never got an answer.
That makes sense. You're saying that your family is just holding it in. Mm-hmm. Well, I get that. I get it, but I don't get it. But I mostly don't get it, because I think that societally and culturally, even like within families, there is that be strong aspect, which is important, but there's a limit to that too. Like, there's a living and grieving where you were saying you were tethered between two worlds of the therapist saying one thing to you, like, it's okay. Now you're in that world, but you're still in the other realm of, okay, keep going. And I think it's a balance of both, but it's kind of like a living and grieving where, you got to be strong and kind of put a face on for certain things you got to do, but you can't forget the other side, because all these people that are being strong and marching on, that shit's coming out in a million other ways. It's coming out in a million other ways.
Everywhere. It's seeping, it's leaking everywhere. And for me, watching my family, even with my dad, because that was kind of like the story of his life. He had a cousin who died when they were like 10. Then his mom died of cancer when he was 16. And no one ever told him she had breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy. Like, she was literally dying in front of his eyes, and no one said anything. The day she died, he said he heard her crying in pain, and everybody was just like, oh, she's fine. Go to school. You'll be all right. And she died while he was at school. And my uncle had to go get him and say, hey, your mom died. And that was pretty much it. But nobody ever said, hey, here's what's happening with your mom. And then less than a year later, his brother dies of a heart attack at only 26 years old. And there's that. Then I remember when I was 9, his best friend was murdered by his girlfriend. So he had all of this grief that he never really dealt with, but it came out everywhere.
How did you see it come out?
He was a very sensitive person, but because to him sensitivity was weakness, you would see, like, when he had these feelings, you may get a brief glimmer of like, oh, I'm hurt. And then as soon as that would happen, it was like he snapped, and now little things are just setting him off. He was one of those people. Anger was acceptable. He could show you anger. He could show you, I'm tough and all that. So it would come out of him being mean and critical and harsh, and the smallest thing setting them off. And I remember I used to always ask him, what is wrong? I'm like, you are like the reverse of Hallmark. You care enough to show your very worst. What is this? What is wrong with you?
Reverse of Hallmark.
That's what I used to tell him. I was like, dude, what is your problem? And his response, he would go, Janice, I never had anybody show me love. And I'm like, okay, but you have a family of your own now. You have a wife, you have a daughter. We love you. What is wrong with you? But it was all that grief and pain that had nowhere to go because he didn't know that it was okay to let it out.
Yeah, and that's where it shows. And it's so ironic because it seems like those reactions are defense mechanisms, are protecting you because it's a reaction off of the sensitive stuff that you might start feeling this or that. Instead of feeling it like your therapist told you, it's just, I'm going to throw a left hook back at whatever this is. Yep. And those are the little things. That's why I asked specifically, because we just think that's who I am. We don't relate it to grief. We don't relate it to that, which I'm sure you just expressed in all those feelings. Like, oh, that's what grief is. I know I'm going to be sad 'cause I love my dad, but I didn't know it was going to be this, that, and the other. And we think by shutting this shit down and marching on without addressing it, it's just like burying it deep enough, it's not going to show itself. It's buried deep. But no, like the deeper it's buried, the more it's going to show up in more ways, or ways that you're not even able to like dissect what it is.
Exactly.
And it's real. It happened to me. Like when I was a kid, I feel like shit got shut down when I first found out my dad died. To protect myself off the rip, which is part of how the body works, like the quick denial to protect yourself maybe for a little bit, but it's not set to protect you the rest of your life. It's just going to bang us up more.
How old were you when?
I was 12. How old are you? Like
I was 30, and that exactly what you just said used to be my thought process. I'm like, I was 30 when this happened, and it devastated me. I could not imagine being a child and having that happen.
Yeah, it's like, but at the same time, when I think about it, 'cause we're both wearing different shoes right now, it's okay. I was 12. I was young. And I didn't know what to do. But even at 30, when this was this your first big loss, more or less, without defining it. But yeah, it's like your first big loss. So it's even now you've lived more life not being hit by something like that. So, tomato. Of course, 12 sucks too. 30 sucks. It all sucks. So it's tough to say what age. I know 12 is very developmental. I'm a child. But at the same time, it's like, at 30, if this is your first big one, you got a family that's not giving you room to feel some stuff. Who's to say what's what? But it's all shit.
No matter how you slice it,
it's not. There's so
shit
much,
pie.
Yeah, it's a shit pie. Eat it. I don't know if you want to warm or cold, but either way, it's like, it just we got to figure it out. And I don't even know what that means. And there's so many paths you can choose as you've been taught. But I do want to ask you. We're going a little reverse in the story now, but what happened to your dad? I know a little bit, but for the audience, but what went down before his death or during his death? How did it happen?
So my dad had sarcoidosis, which is an autoimmune disease. It can affect any organ of the body. His happened to affect his skin and his lungs. He got diagnosed in 1986. So by the time he's in his 40s, he's been living with it for most of his life. During the course of that time, he also developed hypertension and diabetes. So it's manageable. He's on medication. He'd been on prednisone for years, and it managed it. 2004 is when things took a turn for the worse. He developed pneumonia and was hospitalized. That very first time, that was the quiet one. No one knew about that one. So again, like I said, he's the don't unbother me, I bother it. My mom and I fly out, here to California to Cedars-Sinai because that's where he is. And he's like, oh, no, I'm fine. Everything's okay. And everybody that works for him is like, no, I ain't never seen him look that scared before. He was like, he couldn't breathe. Like, don't nothing bother me. I bother it. It's fine. So we're like, oh my God, we need to say, no, y'all go home. I'm fine. Like, and we're like, pneumonia. And my mom's a nurse. That's her background. She was a nurse. So she's like, pneumonia's fatal. Like, do you understand? I'm fine. I promise I'm fine. So he, in that time, decides, I'm sick of being on prednisone. I've been on prednisone for years, and I really think prednisone is the reason that I developed diabetes because, prolonged use of prednisone can induce diabetes. I don't want to do prednisone anymore. So his doctor out here says, okay, well, we'll put you on, we'll try some sophisticated drugs. And I remember this distinctly because he was so excited about that. The doctor said he's going to put me on some sophisticated drugs. And I was like, what is a sophisticated drug? What? If it works, why are you messing with it? So the alternatives they provided him were all immune suppressants. The first one was methotrexate. So I'm sure for people out there who have cancer and other severe diagnoses, you know what methotrexate is. And I remember my mom, like, the nurse that she is, like, pulled up the side effects. And she was like, do you see this? Death. It's so severe. Death is listed as a side effect. Let's not do this. No. The doctor said he put me on some sophisticated drugs. So he tries methotrexate. He has a toxic reaction to that and gets hospitalized. That's when now it's, Bernie Mac is rushed to the hospital because he now has, this toxic reaction. So doctor says, okay, well, that didn't work. Well, let's try another one, Plaquenil. Plaquenil is still an immune suppressant. I don't think for someone who has an autoimmune disease that we should be trying immune suppressors. That's just me. Like, I don't have a medical degree or anything, but I would guess that most people with medical degrees would agree with that. So he has the same reaction to Plaquenil, gets hospitalized. Doctor says, okay, Plaquenil didn't work. We'll try Imuron. Let's try Imuron. Same thing happens with Imuron. So now to the public, it's looking like, oh my gosh, is he dying? What's wrong with him? This is why he keeps getting hospitalized. So between that time, he was well enough to come home. So the show had got kind of put on a indefinite hiatus for his health. So he came back home to Chicago. His pulmonologist there, Dr. Mikes, I loved her. She goes, listen, I don't care what you're trying to do. These do not work. I know you hate prednisone, but prednisone works. You're going back on prednisone. So he goes back on prednisone, and that keeps everything controlled. Unfortunately for him, by that point, the sarcoidosis had caused so much inflammation in his lungs that they were rough. Like, when they showed us the x-ray of his lungs, the scarring was so severe that they said he was literally operating with the capacity of just one of his lungs. Oh, shit. And it had been put on the table like, okay, you don't need it right now, but it's definitely something we're going to need to talk about. You will probably need a lung transplant in the coming years. Like, let's keep that on the table. So that's when he permanently was on oxygen from that point on because his lungs never fully recovered from that. So my dad, being as vain as he was, hated the look. Like, if you look at, I think it's season 4, you can see when he gets back on the prednisone because he's got that moon face and his words feel a little slurred because he was back on the prednisone and it had to take effect. He hated that. So he never let go of, I'm getting off of prednisone. So that was 2004. He recovers because he's on the prednisone and his doctors will not let up on that. So 2005, he's doing better. 2006, he's doing good. 2007, he's doing good. 2008, we film Soul Man. We come home. We come back out to LA to do shoot a pilot for his new TV show, Starting Under. We come back home. He gets the bright idea, I'm going to get me a new doctor, one who's not going to put me on prednisone because I'm getting off prednisone. I don't want to be on prednisone. Gets this new doctor. Doctor says, okay, well, let's try Humira. I don't know if people know this. Humira is also an immune suppressant. So he goes, okay, it's usually given once a month injection. We'll treat it a little more aggressively this time and give it to you once a week. Again, someone with an autoimmune disease, the last thing they need is something that's going to suppress their immune system.
Same thing.
Over and over and over again. So this is like end of June. So by like mid-July, we notice like he's got like a fever. He's moving slow, saying he doesn't feel good. So we're like, you should probably go to the doctor. He says, nah, I got a doctor's appointment next week. I'll go then. You know, I'm sure I'm fine. Well, by the time he gets to that appointment, he has pneumonia now. Doctor tells him, hey, okay, listen, I'm admitting you right away. We don't have any beds though, so sit tight and we'll get you a bed. He decides, nah, I got some errands I want to run. I want to get my nails done. I want to go to the gun range. I'm going to, I'm going to do all that and then I'll come back. Well, by the time he comes back, his body's now in septic shock. His organs are failing. He's dying. And he's, I guess, lucid enough to be able to check himself into the hospital, but by then everything's failing, so they have to put him on the ventilator and everything, and he's admitted into ICU. He remains there for 3 weeks. Like week 1, things, like it was touch and go when he first got there, and then he looks like, okay, he's gonna make a recovery, but every time they would try to take him off the ventilator, his lungs just weren't strong enough to recover. Week 2, he develops another high-grade fever. They find out he's contracted MRSA, as well as another bout of pneumonia. He takes a turn for the worse, like the end of the last week of week 2, and we think he's going to die. Like, that was the week that we were like, oh, he's not going to make it. He recovers from that, so we go into week 3. Week 3 is looking promising. Fever subsiding, looks like he's doing well, still not strong enough to get off the ventilator. Now he's fighting the tubes and everything in trach, so they keep him sedated because he's like trying to pull everything off. That to me, I was like, there he is. Yeah. He's going to be fine. All right. He's fighting everything. He's fine. So they have him restrained and sedated. I'm like, yes. So that Thursday before he dies, like that, he opens his eye, and that's one of the first times that he's like awake and everything, but he's still on the ventilator, so he can't really talk. And I'll never forget my mom, like he opens his eyes and my mom goes, hey, Bernard, do you know who I am? And he rolled his eyes like this one, like why in the hell would I know who you are? Come on. Like, because even I was looking at her like, what? Why wouldn't he know? What?
That's hilarious.
So, when it happens, like, and I see him roll his eyes, I'm like, he's okay, everybody. Yeah. He's going to be okay. And then I see him watching her. So she's like, excited. Like, we're both excited. And she's like, okay, well, and she's doing stuff. And I watch him like he's watching her. And then as soon as she walks out of the room, he looks at me and he motions for me like this to come in. And I'm like, what you need? What you want? Like, he's what? Like, what do you want? And he mouths, I'm dead. And I look at him and I'm like, no, stop saying that. And he went. And I said, you're a terrible patient. Because he was a terrible patient. He used to, every time he got sick, he would start, I'm dead. The headline tomorrow, I'm going to say Bernie Mac dead. Your mama going to move another man in my house, spend all my money on him. Might as well go ahead, call the papers now. Like, he would do that. So.
This is a roller coaster.
Yeah. So, him saying that, I'm like, oh, okay, I knew it wouldn't be long before you go there. And he looked at me and went, and then he like flattened himself like to say he was dead. And I'm like, no, stop. Like, man, stop playing with me. So my mom comes back in and he just looks at me and goes, so that was Thursday. So that Friday they tell us, he's doing like much better. So we're just gonna do some standard procedures. We're gonna take him down, change his PICC line and some other tubes, and we'll do that and bring him back up to his room. But everything should go fine. So Friday morning we're there, and they keep telling us, we'll do the procedure at this time. That time comes, and they go, oh, okay, we got to push it back a little bit. And so this is now like August. My mom's birthday is June 21st. At the time, I bought her tickets to see Jill Scott. The concert wasn't until August 8th. And I remember telling her, we've been at this hospital every day for 3 weeks. Friday night, I'm taking you to the concert. Like, there's nothing we can do here anyway. We're going to go get our minds off of everything. Like, that's what we're doing. So we're sitting there waiting for them, to do this before we go. By the time it's time to go to the concert, they still haven't taken him down to change. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. We'll call you if anything's, going on. And it's just this eerie feeling because I remember that morning, like every day, getting to the hospital and walking into the lobby of the ICU, it was packed. That morning, there was no one there. It was me, my mom, and my grandmother. That was it. And I remember as I was walking in, I was like, this is really eerie. Like, I've never seen it this empty in here. And I think both of us had that eerie feeling, like something just feels off, but nobody we don't talk about Bruno. So we didn't say anything. So we go to the concert, and I have my phone on me because I took my mom's phone from her as well because everybody was calling her all the time. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, and we're trying to, get into Jill Scott, but I can't. My phone rings, and I see it's the hospital. And it's outdoors, so I'm trying to find a spot that I can talk. And amidst the crowd, I answer the phone, and I hear the doctor say, okay, he's stable now. I'm like, so she proceeds to tell me, he coded, and he was gone for like 2 minutes, but we brought him back, and he's stable. That was the first time. So now I'm in the middle. All these people are, dancing and singing along to Jill Scott, and I'm like,
oh, shit.
So she's telling me, but I don't hear anything. I'm like, we got to get back to the hospital. So I rush back. I grab my mom's hand, and I'm like, we got to go. We drive to the hospital, and it was just like the quietest, right? We're both just like, because nobody wants to say it. We get to the hospital, and they're like, okay, no, he's fine. So he did code, the PICC line change and all that was fine. But when we went to transfer him back to his bed in his room, that's when he coded. We worked on him. He was gone for 3 minutes. We brought him back. So we tried to transfer him again. He coded again, and he was gone a little longer that time. That was like 4 minutes. But we brought him back. He's stable. We're just going to clean him up for a bit, and then we'll let you come see him. Clean him up for a little bit turned into like 2 hours. We're like, 2 hours? So by the time they tell us, hey, okay, you can come back here and see us, it's after midnight now. And I remember when we walked in the room, I was like, he's gone. Like his eyes didn't look like him, and he had this tick. He kept ticking. And I was like, why is his body moving like that? And they were like, oh, that's just, we had to give him the paralytic to stop him from, pulling at the strings, but everything's okay. And I remember looking and thinking, no, it's not. He's not okay. This isn't it. For anybody who's ever watched a loved one die, there's that moment where it's almost like they're between worlds, like they're not fully gone yet, but they're not fully here. That's what he looked like. And so they tell us again, we're just going to get him cleaned up, and we'll give you a room. And once we get him cleaned up, we'll come get you. Again, my mom and I are silent this whole time. We have not uttered a word to each other. And I think we were both thinking the same thing. Because I remember my thought was, if I fall asleep, he will not be here when I wake up, so I can't fall asleep. But at this point now, like I said, it's after midnight. We've, been going, and I don't remember when, but I fell asleep. And I remember the doctor came in the room, and my mom goes, he's gone, isn't he? And she's in tears, and she nods yes. And I heard a sound. I did not know it was me. I just heard this, I don't even know how to describe it. started screaming, crying. Didn't know it was me. Like in real time, I'm like, what is that sound? Yeah. But it was me. And so that's pretty much.
It just went.
Yep. Went from everything's looking up great to, oh, he gets sick and this happens. And it's crazy because for us at that point, he had been hospitalized so many times before that we didn't take it seriously. We were like, okay, here he goes again. As a matter of fact, we were supposed to be going to Hawaii on vacation. And I remember my mom like, well, we can't go now because he decides he wants to not be on prednisone anymore. So here we go. Like here we go again. And we're just thinking, oh, this is going to be usual. And it was like, oh, okay, we've never done ICU before, but he'll still be fine. He'll be fine. And until he wasn't.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of my best friends lost his dad not long ago, and it was a similar experience in that his dad was in the hospital so many times over years, and even within that short time period, there was a bit of, I don't know if it was hope or just assumption or denial or whatever the heck. I can't title any of it, but all the fucking above. But it's like, yeah, it was a similar thing how you just explained, where from the outside that people that haven't experienced what you experienced, like, oh, he's not looking good. What do you mean? Like, you're like, but no, he's been here before. He's just gonna come out. It's like this is gonna happen. He's been here before. So there is that little bit of a denial factor, which when it does happen, I feel like it hits you even harder. It
does. And I remember saying to people, might have been week 2, I was like, yeah, his name literally means bear. Like, that big bear is not going anywhere. He will be walking in his door, talking loud, talking shit to all of us. Oh, y'all thought I was gone, but here I am. I just knew it. I was like, this isn't. And it's crazy because he always said he wasn't going to live to be an old man. He didn't think he was going to live to see his 50th birthday.
He said that to you. He said it to you.
I used to tell him he was so morbid because even as a kid, like, anything could be a lesson. We could be talking about anything, and then all of a sudden he'd be, see, I'm trying to teach you. And I'm like, what? Dude, we're talking about chocolate. What are you talking about? Like, what? And I'm trying to teach you because you need to know this because I might not always be here for you. And I'm like, why do you keep saying that? Stop saying that. But he never thought he would live to see his 50th birthday. And I remember on his 50th birthday when I went over to my parents' house, I was like, hi, old man, you were wrong. Here you are, 50. And he looked at me and just went, yeah. Like, yeah. So I don't know if he knew that was his last year on earth or not, but.
Do you believe that?
I kind of do, because he had a weird way of, he would say and know stuff that I'd be like, why is he always right? He knows too much. How does he know this thing? So I think he had an innate feeling that he wasn't. And I kind of had it too when we came here to film the pilot for his TV show. I remember walking into his dressing room and he was sitting on a couch in his dressing room and there were like a bunch of people around him. And for a split second, like I zeroed in on him and people were talking to him. And a voice said to me, this is going to be the last time you all do this.
And what was the time frame of that moment?
That was June of 2008.
Okay, so right there.
Right. And at the time, it wasn't that I thought he was going to die. Like, I wasn't like, oh, he's going to die. I just thought maybe he would be like, you know what, I'm tired of acting. Because for me, I saw the shift in him when he got sick in 2004. Because, again, that was when he was huge. Like, he's doing the sitcom, he's doing movies, and he had a habit of working too much to me. Because he would film the TV show and movies, like, at the same time. So because he got sick, that's why his role in Ocean's 12 got diminished a bit, and his role in Transformers. So he was supposed to film Transformers, Ocean's 12, and the TV show, like, all at the same time. And I remember, like, as the days went on, the Fox studio was calling, like, okay, so how long is this going to take? Because, you know, we got to show it. And then Jerry Weintraub, who was the producer of the Ocean's movie, called, hey, listen, Bernie, I know you're sick, but we really need to get this scene shot. So how about I send a car to the hospital, pick you up, bring you to the studio.
For real.
You film your scene, and then we'll take you back to the hospital. And I saw something click for him because up until that point, you know, he was beloved. You have this sitcom, everything rests on your shoulders. Everybody's, oh, we love you. And in that moment, I could see he was like, these people don't care if I live or die. Like, I'm in the hospital fighting for my life. And they're like, yeah, but.
Let's get that shot.
Mm-hmm. And so I think for him, that's when he kind of saw this as, okay, this is a job. It's afforded me, some nice things, but no, if I die, they're not going to care anything about me. So when I looked at him and heard that voice say, this is the last time we'll ever do this, I just thought he's going to want to sit at home. I'd had my daughter by then. He was in love with her and being a grandfather. So I was like, he's giving this all up to be at home. That's what I thought. Then we get, a month, 2 months down the road and he's sick and he dies. And I'm like, this is false advertisement. This is not.
This is not what you told. This is not what came through.
Like, no, this is not how I saw this going. I thought it was going this way.
And do you feel like now looking back at it, was that like a little tick, like an energetic tick that kind of was, you know what I mean? When you start going down that rabbit hole, was it that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I'd even had a dream like that final week. I remember I woke up out of my sleep because I had a dream that he was gonna die before the week ended. And it's kind of like how you said, it's that little bit of hope and denial. Like, no, in my mind, my dad was my superhero. Superheroes don't die. And even if they do, they get resurrected. Like, through some
there's another sequel.
Right.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen. Like, I was like, he's not my dad can't die. That can't be. And so
what do you cause now that you brought up those stories, and then where we're at with your story, do you have a religious background? Because you mentioned God earlier, but do you lean on that at all, or anything spiritual?
I do, not the way that I was raised Baptist. I've since relaxed and deconstructed some of my beliefs.
Been there. Yeah. It's still there, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, that was the turning point for me. When my dad died, I could not sit in church anymore. I tried for like a year and a half to sit in church, and like to your point earlier when you were talking about all the parts of grief, anger. I would be sitting in church seething, like, I was over here talking about hallelujah and praise God. Praise God for what? My daddy dead. Like, I didn't say it in church, but I was like, fuck God. Fuck this shit. Like, what is... I'm supposed to praise him and he killed my daddy? Like, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I didn't have an awareness. I know we're all going to die. As surely as we live, we're all going to die. But I couldn't get past... This wasn't enough time. That was a big part of me. And I tried to feel grateful. Like, I had him for 30 years, But for me, it was like, well, yeah, it's because I had him for 30 years. I know how much I miss him. Like, we supposed to both be old. Like, if I'm a senior citizen, he can die. Okay, he can die then. Like, if I got my AARP card now. Okay, I can take that. But this, no, like, my daughter shouldn't have to not know how much her grandfather loved. Like, what do you mean my father's dead and you want me to sit here and praise No.
You still feel that way?
I don't feel that way anymore, but I also I can't rewind the clock and go back to sitting in church and
yes. Even if you could, that's not, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, but no, now it's just one of those, I still wish we had more time. Less for me and more for my daughter. Like when I talk, she's 19 now. Jeez.
Oh, damn.
Yes.
Time flies, baby. Time flies, baby.
Okay. Because that's a whole other thing. She's about to go off to school and I'm trying to keep myself like...
Yeah.
Like, she starts in January and every time she's talking to me, I'm like... School and I remember the day I pregnant with you. Yeah, so...
Yeah, you're there. Yeah, you're there.
But... It's, I try to do for her what wasn't done for me because no one talked to me about my grandmother. The most I got about my grandmother was, man, she looks just like Mary. And it meant nothing to me because I had never seen a picture of her. I didn't know anything of her until I was 16 years old. My cousin gave my dad some pictures of her and he had them restored. And that was the first time that I was like, wow. No wonder Uncle Mitch is always telling me I look like, because they do. So I never wanted that for her. So I've always talked to her about him. Madagascar, too, was about the only thing I could show her for a long time.
Yeah,
so,
give her some time. And now she's 19.
Yeah, so now she, and the Bernie Mac show, I could show her the show. Yeah. So, in talking to her, I've always kept those things alive for her. But I can see it in her face. Like, She cares, but it can only go so deep because she doesn't have those memories. And I hate that for her. I'm like, Dad, you couldn't at least let her be like 10, 11, like, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the evolvement of it all, right? You know, we're talking about the layers of grief, but then it comes back. It just hits you down the line, and still it hits differently, feels different. You see it different, but then it's those. I always say those future memories, those new memories that you don't get.
It's because it's every new first. Every time you experience something new or different, it's like, man.
It's like, oh shit, it's another one. And it's another thing that opens shit up, and it's like, oh, you know what I mean?
I even mourn for myself because I'm like, I'm not even who I was or could be if he were still alive. Like, the person that I am today only exists now because he died when I was 30.
Right.
Who I would be if he were still alive wouldn't be this person.
No. And that's the I almost want to say beautiful, sad part of it all. You know what I mean? It's like beautifully sad.
Yes.
And I feel like life is one big dark comedy, and I think it is a comedy in a dark way.
A tragic one.
It's a very tragic comedy, but there is a beautiful part of it because, again, I feel like the way everything you just told me from how you were directed how to handle this, for example, I don't know a lot of the other details, but now you're instilling certain things to your own daughter because of that, and things that you've unraveled, almost breaking maybe generational traditions that might not be something that you clearly didn't resonate with, and now you're able to instill on that because of your experience. And it's not saying, oh, I'll trade all this, I'll trade these, I want these lessons over my father. No, it's just not the way it goes. But with that, you can do this. And that's the beautiful, sad part about it.
Yes.
But the word beautiful is still there, and the word sad's still there. So it's a yin and yang.
It's like that, what was that Will Smith movie? Collateral Beauty?
Collateral, but never seen it.
I didn't want to see it because I knew it was about them losing a kid. And I was like, I don't want to see no more death. Like, it came out during it, but I happened to catch it one day. And it's Helen Mirren's character is the one that says it. Don't forget to witness the collateral beauty. And
That's what it is.
When the character says it, I remember being like, oh, because it's so true. Like you just said, I've learned life is not obligated to show up the way that I think it should.
Yeah, and that's a big one for me because, you know, you even said, like, I should have had this for my dad, and I could say the same thing about mine, but then part of me also says, when did we sign anything that says I'm supposed to have my dad for before, after 12? That's just, when did we sign that contract? We didn't. But because of the way things can go, we expect it to go, and no, that's not how it goes. It's not how it goes, but there is that collateral damage or collateral, what was it?
Beauty.
Maybe way better. Yeah, collateral beauty. Collateral damage is going at a different level.
You get both. You do kind of get both, yeah.
It is both, but then those are like those perspective shifts that it's much easier said than done. I've said a million times, but it can be done. It should be done. Is that perspective shift of how you see it takes time. Yeah. I mean, time ain't going to heal you, but it's what you do at that time that can help.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So before we get out of here, what is one of your most memorable aspects of your father that sticks with you the most?
Oh, God.
Just like his presence or whatever it was.
So for me, I always tell people it's bigger than just him being Bernie Mac. For me, it is witnessing the whole thing because I got to witness him not just make fetch happen out of this seemingly impossible feat. You know, today you can say, I want to be a stand-up comic, and people are like, that makes sense. I can see that. In the 70s and 80s when he was saying that, nobody was this black boy in Chicago on the South Side. If you don't get yourself out of here, like, really? And, you know, he was 19 when he married my mom. 2 weeks later, he turned 20. 3 months later, I was born. So I got to watch him go from a boy to a man. Like, I got to witness it all. So for me, will always be the most memorable thing because who he was at 40 and even 50 when he died is not who he was. Yeah.
I love that. You know, it's something that I'm happy you relish that because, again, from my personal experience, like I say this all the time, like, damn, I only knew my dad as a boy. My dad only knew me as a man. You know what I mean? That's like, it's a weird, but then again, like you could say, your dad you need to know your dad as a grandpa for X amount of time. You know what I mean? So there's so many this, that, and the other. But then the question is, okay, what do we do with that? Do I stay there in that mindset, or what do we do with it?
Yeah.
What do we do with it? And I guess we'll leave on what we do with it, and y'all have to figure it out, because I ended an answer there. But Janice, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. Maybe the door's always open for you if you ever want more to talk about.
Absolutely.
But I'm grateful for the opportunity, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're a blast.
I can't say enough how much I love this, because it's like we've been talking about. This is such not just a part of life, it's a pivotal part of life. And I just don't think we know how to grieve and deal and accept death. Like I went down a rabbit hole after my dad died of like watching how other cultures deal with death. And just to have these conversations, I think is just really important. And I love that you're doing this. I really appreciate it. Now you're a part of it. So I want to thank you for sitting down with me. And it is that, back to what we said earlier, just when you think the show is going to end, that, you know, you can't see it in your eyes or can't be in your shoes, but we can take a little, there's always something. There's always a little nugget there from your experience, from anyone else's experience. You could not relate or maybe relate, but it's about just that acknowledgement. It all comes back to kind of your experience. The therapist said it is okay to feel like that. So when someone listens to your story, they can be like, oh, I kind of felt that shit too. And now it's a little validating, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that validation can open up Pandora's box into what we can do with it. Absolutely. So thank you for your words. It's going to help a lot of people, and I've learned some too, so I'm really grateful for you. And so next time, Dead Talks, we out. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dead Talks. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell. That'll give you updates as to when we post a new video, more episodes, and more content in general. We are streaming on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and all that. And also find us on Instagram at Dead Talks Podcast or www.deadtalks.net. Thank you so much.